Hello again, everyone. It's very nice of you to drop in again. We are continuing our Angelic series of videos, so I do hope you are enjoying them. These are just my dreams, just my experiences, and so I'm very grateful that you would like to come in and listen and hear. So, as always, without further ado, here we go. I dreamt that I saw a big glowing light as I stood in a dark abyss of silence. It radiated with almost an invisible electric energy like an orb. It was descending from above as I sat in this abyss. As it lowered, it shone its light on me directly, and my ears filled with the loud sound of static, and my body felt filled with energy. The light moved off me, and I said, "Wait, it's okay. I can handle it. Just let me go through the cleansing." The light landed on me again, and I felt that same power on me, speeding up my atoms and molecules faster and faster, yet this time I could take it. I believe it was raising my vibration in a very accelerated way, which is why I felt so full of energy. My focus was on the center of this light that I saw, for it seemed as though this light sat on a throne inside of this orb. It expanded in pure radiating light, and I saw a figure seated on the throne. It too was pure light. I stood before this being, and it did not feel the same energetically as when I met the one who was called the Most High. I then saw this form transform into a child. They sat very relaxed, and I think they found a form for me to be around, but I'm not sure why it was a child, perhaps so it was not so intimidating. Then the being said, "When you continually ask for cleansing and blessing for a wrong that you repeat over and over, the angels will always do that for you. However, they do it knowing you should not be doing that over and over again. They do it as a favor for you, out of love." I realized that the being was speaking so that I may write down their words. They were dictating to me, not admonishing me. This was a message for people. I started looking for something to write with, but I could not find anything. So I said out loud, "I set my intention to remember this. I set my intention to remember this." I said it 3 times. Then the being said, "You will travel with Raphael." And then I was suddenly sitting in a different place, sitting next to a beautiful young woman who had long strands of reddish golden brass-like hair. She wore beautiful velvet red robes that had golden embroidery on them. The collar of her robe was golden and reached from her neckline to her shoulders. On that gold was a quilted pattern, and between each intersecting line was a gemstone. She looked at me with a smile very gentle and said, "Do you remember me?" I felt she was very familiar to me, and I said, "Have we known each other before?" And she said, "Yes, we have." And I said, "Archangel Raphael." And she nodded. As we traveled to a place I was not told, Archangel Raphael said, "You will hear the sound of space. Can you hear it?" And I could. I could hear the wind and all the spacey sounds which outer space and all planets make. You cannot hear them with human ears. On Earth, you can hear them captured by specialized microphones and sped up or slowed down. She showed me around a portion of what I believe to be a level of heaven, where people saw heaven as a modern kind of world where everything was there for them all the time. If they wanted to go to Disney World every day, for example, they could, and it was the best Disney World they could imagine. If they wanted to drive a particular kind of classic vehicle because they missed it and loved it, they could. It was very different from the version of heaven I saw before, the one that had cobblestone streets and large white buildings that looked almost like Greek temples. This one looked more modern. With all the vehicles driving around, I asked Archangel Raphael, "Can anyone get hurt and die again while they're here?" And she replied, "No." And then I said, "So, people here can visit Disney World every day, and it would have the real Mr. Walt Disney in it?" She nodded, and she pointed and said, "Do you see the large sphere in the distance?" As she pointed, I saw a huge white ball appear in the distance. I was surprised. She said, "Turn over your hand." And I did so, and I saw 3 different rings on my left hand. There was a ring on my middle finger, my index finger, and my ring finger. They were each very, very intricate and represented something. The one on my index finger had big pale gemstones on it with a diamond shape. The one in the middle I do not recall so well. However, the one she focused on was the one on my left ring finger. I looked at it. She said, "That is the ring from a school." I looked at it, and it had 2 medium-sized pale gemstones like cloudy white quartz that were square and almost stacked on each other. The silver metal beneath it showed the doors open of a building. I looked at it and said, "I went to school here and graduated?" She stared at me with some surprise and replied, "You taught here." I then seemed to understand, and I said, "Oh yes, I was a teacher here." And she nodded. After that, the dream faded away, and I was very grateful for experiencing it. With that dream, the way it felt that school was some kind of cosmic school, some kind of cosmic university, some kind of, I don't know, divine cosmic type university or school. When I awoke from that dream, I felt like I was on another planet. When I woke up from that dream, I literally walked around and I didn't feel like I was in the right place. I didn't feel like myself at all. I looked around and I was like, what am I still doing here? Why am I here? I walked outside and I looked at the trees that were around me, and I literally felt, it almost felt like when you're at a gas station and you know it's just a transient place and you're just there. It's like an in-between place. It's not your final destination. It's just a gas station, right? It's a transient point. That's how it felt when I looked outside at the trees that were surrounding me and the cars driving by. I was just like, what am I still doing here? Why am I still here? Like, am I still here? What am I doing here? That's how it felt. It took me cold water and 2 hours of actively grounding myself to get my myself back in my body, to get myself grounded again and in the present moment, because that was the weirdest experience I've ever had. It felt like I didn't belong here. I felt like I was confused, almost like, why am I still here? I didn't feel like me. It was so weird. It was so weird. I say I didn't feel like me, but I say that in the term of it didn't feel like I was in the right place. It just didn't feel like I was in the right place at all. It took me a long time to ground from that one until I was comfortable and able to sit down and breathe and be like, oh, okay, yeah, you know. So that one was intense. And I find it also interesting because I did some research on Archangel Raphael, because I never met them or even knew there was an Archangel Raphael prior to that dream. And I researched it, and I guess the old language way of saying that name, because it's spelled Jophiel, but the way it was pronounced to me in the dream was Yah, not Ja. It was Yah. So that particular type of way of pronouncing it is Hebraic. When I was doing some research, and forgive me if I'm incorrect in that, it's just my feeble research, but the way the name was said to me and the way that it was familiar to me was pronounced Raphael. So I found that very interesting. But yeah, crazy. Whew. Yeah, that was a doozy. I will go through one more dream before we wrap up. I had a dream that Archangel Azrael was carrying me in his arms. He appeared to me almost like a marble statue. There was a golden trimming hem to his robes, as he did have relaxed wings. His robes hooded his face, but I was able to see it just underneath. While he appeared like smooth marble statue, his face was very beautiful. He pointed toward an open window. I looked in that direction, and I saw a beautiful full moon surrounded by magenta and violet clouds in a beautiful starry sky, as if it was cradled by nebula-like clouds. It was so beautiful. I awoke shortly after this dream, and it sat with me during the day. I strongly feel that he was directing my attention to the moon, and I believe somehow telling me I needed to connect with the moon. I will follow my heart, and I thank you, Divine Archangel Azrael, for sharing your message with me. So that was that dream. It was really beautiful moon. The image of the moon that I saw, it was like the moon, like the regular moon, but it was cradled by like magenta and purple clouds and like stars. It was so pretty. I'd never seen the moon like that before. It was a full moon as well. She was full in that dream, but it was beautiful, and the colors were gorgeous. Just that deep ultraviolet purple and that magenta color, just beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, as you can tell, I do love the moon. I'm very connected to it. I believe most, if not all, many mermaids are also connected to the moon. So she does control the tides of the ocean, so it's like a pull to her. So that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're able to have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, whichever it is for you. Thank you again for coming. Thank you, and take care.